God bless everybody. Today is January 11th, 2024. This is a special report. The United States and British forces have launched a massive retaliatory strike against Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen. I believe they've hit over a dozen targets. This should escalate everything. In the last 24 hours, a lot has been happening out here. And so I wanted to bring these articles to your attention. This is going to break out and it is going to start ramping up over in the Middle East. Keep talking about that January 15 date. We'll see if anything happens against Israel on that very specific date. But let's look at this article. It says any U.S. attack on Yemen Houthis will not go without a response. So the Houthis are preempting this strike from the United States and Britain. And this is being somewhat fairly telegraphed out here on both sides. And so I don't think anybody's going to, be surprised that this happened. And it indicates any attack on Yemen's Houthi on part of the United States will not go without a response. The group's leader indicates he said on this televised speech, as the Iranian-backed group steps up attacks on commercial vessels in the Red Sea and in protest against Israel's war in Gaza, and it has ramped up tremendously in the last 24 hours. I'll go over some of those reports and why this actually did occur, because there was a number of events that happened just recently that led to this attack. Onto this Houthi, actual Houthi areas. So we're physically striking areas in Yemen and different places. Says any American attack will not remain without a response, even though they've been launching all kinds of stuff at us, and we've not responded up to this point really, other than knock some drones and drone boats and other things down to from hitting ships and things like that. We've not really retaliated. This is the first retaliatory strike, especially on Houthi infrastructure, that this is going to cause a massive response by the Houthis. So this response will be greater than the attacks that was carried out with the 20 drones and a number of missiles. We just had this strike. I'll show you this article in a second. 20 drones came in at one time, and so this was a fairly large strike that happened on Wednesday. And so they had launched this 20 drone barrage against both U.S. and UK ships, and so we felt finally, I guess with UK in the room, we've decided that we must do something finally, and so we have launched this attack. I believe it was on over 12 targets on their infrastructure, and this is something that the Houthis indicated that if we did do a response against them on their own infrastructure in their own land, that they would retaliate strongly to that attack. And so we are more determined to target ships linked to Israel, and we will not back down from that. The comments come after U.S. and 11 allies published a joint statement last week calling for an end to the Houthi attack from Yemen and the Red Sea shipping, sending out an explicit threat of force. And Blinken was actually just over there in the last 24 to 48 hours indicating that this had to stop, that they just couldn't keep this up. And so all this is affecting shipping. Prices of fuel are moving up. You're also watching trade routes changing. Shipping container prices are moving up radically, and so this is going to cause all kinds of problems as this expands out and becomes worse, and will also start to radiate into the markets as they start to realize this problem's not going to go away. It's going to start to hyperinflate things in the markets as fuels move up, and you're already starting to see from the U.S. Information that we got from CPI today, inflation has moved back up in the United States, and so this is something that they're not going to tame. And so Jay the other day came out, and Janet Yellen came out and basically did their victory lap. Well, there's no victory lap here. So I'm just going to play this quick video from Fox News. Video is only about 2 minutes and 32 seconds long, but it explains basically everything that's going on over there. So I think it's extremely important that we can see what actually is happening in real time.
Is more of a powder keg tonight as Iran seizes control of a tanker in the Gulf of Oman, and Iranian-backed proxy groups have now launched more than 130 attacks on U.S. troops in the region as the world awaits a response. Senior national correspondent Rich Edson has the latest from the Pentagon. Good evening, Rich.
Hi, good evening, Brett. This is the same ship that last year the U.S. Justice Department seized for violating sanctions. It was carrying Iranian oil then. An Iranian state media outlet says boarding the ship today is retaliation for the U.S. seizing it a year ago.
This activity is contrary to international law. It's another example of Iranian malign activity threatening security and stability in the region, and we call on Iran to release the tanker and the crew immediately.
And the Pentagon says the tankers flagged to the Marshall Islands. For weeks, Iran-backed Houthi rebels have been attacking commercial shipping in the Red Sea. On Tuesday, they launched their largest, most complex attack yet. The Pentagon says F-18s from the carrier USS Eisenhower, along with guided missile destroyers from the U.S. and U.K. navies, shot down 18 drones, 2 cruise missiles, and a ballistic missile. U.S. Central Command says this morning the Houthis fired another anti-ship ballistic missile into a busy international shipping lane in the Gulf of Aden. That's the 28th attack since November 19th. The U.S. and allies have been weighing how to respond. Secretary of State Antony Blinken warned there will be consequences for the Houthis' actions. Yesterday, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown, spoke with his UK counterpart about these Houthi attacks. On land, there have been at least 130 attacks by Iran-backed militias against U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria since October 17th, including 16 since the evening of January 1st. That's when Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin was hospitalized. Austin is still in the hospital. The Pentagon says he's in good condition. The secretary went into the hospital New Year's Day following complications from surgery last month for prostate cancer. He kept the public and president in the dark for days. The Pentagon says it's initiating a review, and Republicans and Democrats have criticized the secretary and have promised to investigate. Now the Pentagon's inspector general says it's launching an investigation into the actions at the Pentagon involving his absence. Brett, back to you.
Okay, Rich Edson at the Pentagon. Rich.
So this caused a retaliatory strike tonight just in the last few hours. We saw U.S. and British militaries launch massive retaliatory strikes against the Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen. And so this is escalating rapidly. And like I said, the Houthis said that if we launched any kind of retaliatory strikes into their land, into Yemen, that they would escalate this war between us. So it indicates that the U.S. and British militaries were bombing more than a dozen sites used by Iranian-backed Houthis in Yemen on Thursday in a massive retaliatory strike using warship-launched Tomahawk missiles and fighter jets. Several U.S. officials told the Associated Press. The military targets including logistical hubs, air defense systems, and weapons storage and launching locations, they said. So I just want you to realize that they've had this fairly massive retaliatory strike that is going to get a response from the Houthis, and it's also going to start to change everything from the price of fuel to the markets to all kinds of stuff, because now this is going to escalate. And the hope is that if we hit them hard enough now, this won't escalate, but that won't be the case. This will escalate as we move forward. And so here we have another front, and we are being drawn into this war more and more all the time. And if you go into the Brent crude charts, you can see that oil has moved up radically in the last few days from about 73.24 to approximately 77.41, and this is going to move up rapidly if they can't control this situation over there. So I just wanted to bring this update. This is a huge escalation. We have done a fairly large retaliatory strike against the Houthis, and so we will have to see what kind of a response the Houthis will do in the Red Sea and as we move forward. And like I say, let's watch that January 15th date. I believe Hezbollah is going to get into this one soon also. So we'll see how this all turns out. God bless everybody. Have a great day. Find that open door, find Jesus, and be safe out there. This is changing quickly.